Hi. Um, so I'd like to talk about something that has been talked about quite a number of ways and can have different, I guess, interpretations. And I'm basically talking about time. What am I going to be talking about? Time. I'm going to be talking about the value of your time. And I'm sure some of us have probably heard, you know, so many different things said about the value of time or time and how important time is, but today I wanted to look at it from a different dimension. Very recently I was listening to a message being delivered by one of my spiritual mentors, and he was talking about an interesting story in the Bible. And there was a story about the man who had been blind from birth. And that's the story in, I believe it's John chapter 9, verse 1. And this guy had been blind from birth, and he had friends who just basically, passed by him every day. And nobody really took notice of this guy. I mean, they noticed him as the blind guy who had been blind from birth. And nobody really took much of notice about this guy. And Jesus Christ was passing by. That's how the verse started. He said that Jesus Christ was passing by, and he basically noticed this man who had been blind from birth. He noticed him. He literally stopped and noticed him. And while Jesus Christ's disciples were asking him, hey Christ, this guy who's blind, he's been blind from birth. Was it because of his sin or the sin of his parents? Why is he blind? And quite frankly, Jesus Christ did not care about any of that. And bottom line, the story went on, and, my spiritual mentor was talking about so many different things that had to do with that particular story. But what really struck me about that story was, like I said, it's supposedly started from John chapter 9, verse 1. But the interesting thing about that story is if you start from the last verse of the chapter right before that chapter, something interesting happens right there. Jesus Christ had been in the temple and saying certain things, and the people were getting upset. The Pharisees were getting upset, and basically they wanted to stone him. And John chapter 8, verse 59 said Jesus Christ, went through the crowd and he passed by. Basically, he was escaping a lynching, right? He was in the process of being lynched by these people, and he literally was just escaping. And the verse ends by saying he passed by them. And the very next chapter, chapter 9, verse 1, starts off by saying, and as Jesus passed by, he noticed this blind man. Are you getting where I'm going to with this? Christ was escaping for his life, basically. And even in the midst of his own problems that he was going through at that particular point in time, he still had enough time to stop and notice somebody else who had a problem. Time. So in talking about time, what I really want to press is, how we can actually place what the value of time really is. Time, some people have said time is like a currency and explained it in so many different ways. But from this story, I think what I gathered personally is the fact that the value of that currency, the value of your currency called time, is not so much based on how much time you have. It's not so much based on how much you can get paid for your time. Those are all interesting topics to talk about. But in this particular scenario, the part that stood out to me in this story is the fact that your time it doesn't have a lot of value until you've actually given your time away for a valuable cause. And what do I mean by that? It's like money. Money has no value if you just keep it. I mean, like, it may increase in value on paper, but if you just, like a miser, stores money, hides money away and keeps it somewhere and never spends it, no matter how much value that money has, in the stock market or wherever, or, no matter how much value that money may have when spent, if it's not spent, it has no value. It's just paper or coins sitting down somewhere with no value, which means that the fact that it is a currency, you have to give it, you have to let it go for the value to actually be applicable. And in this case, you know, what I'm saying is that Christ actually gave his time, despite the fact that he was escaping. He gave his time to somebody else who needed his time at that particular point in time. Time. So basically what I'm saying is every day we go through our daily lives, we get so busy, we get so preoccupied with everything else that concerns us, that concerns what we're going through at any given point. But no matter what you're going through in life, you have to stop and give time to somebody else. That's the only way that your time literally has value. I believe it was Zig Ziglar who said that our kids spell love as Time. Basically, the time we spend with them. That's how they define how much we love them. That's how they can tell how much we love them. Another very interesting quote about time that I saw somewhere, I think it was by Green Hubbard. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but what he said, character is the result of two things: mental attitude and the way we spend our time. Isn't that interesting? Your character basically is a result of two things: your mental attitude and the way you spend your time. I guess at the end of the day, what I'm saying is your time has more value when you use your time to influence or to add value to somebody else's life. Stop and smell the roses, not just for yourself, but take notice of people around you. Take notice of the things that are going on around you. Take notice of the things that are going on with people around you. That's how you can value or place value or quantify the value of your time. When we go out of this world at the end of the day, are people going to stand there and talk about how much time you invested in their life, how much you invested in their life by spending time with them? Or are they just going to talk about how rich you were in your life? That's not a bad thing. But at the end of the day, what do you want to be remembered for? And what is the ultimate value of your time if you cannot spend your time adding value to somebody else's life? That's how you replicate, that's how you increase the value or have an investment on your time. When you invest time in other people's lives, and that time you invest in their life changes their life, especially when it allows them to change other people's lives, your time, the value of your own time has just multiplied because you released it into somebody else who was able to release it into somebody else and make an impact in the world. And so that's really all I wanted to talk about today. At the end of the day, you know, another quote I saw that really spoke to me is a quote by Mary Kay Ash. And she said, no matter how busy you are, you must take time to make the other person feel important. That's how you can quantify the value, or that's how you can determine the value of your time. Once again, have a blessed day. Thank you for watching my video, and I will talk to you later. Of course, as usual, make a comment down below if you like this video, if something resonates with you about this video. Share this video, share this blog, and have a wonderful, successful day ahead, and I will talk to you later. Thank you.